What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday evening to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term issues. It is time now for the Saturday evening edition of the Pandemic Update for Saturday, February 10th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we talk about the pandemic, which is still ongoing, and we talk about other viruses as well, not just COVID. We're going to be starting off with talking about hepatitis and some other viruses as well. So if you want to learn more about this and stay informed, hit that subscribe button down below and give this a thumbs up and share this with anybody that you know. Let's start off today. Let's say you went to a restaurant. Today's specials at this restaurant are hepatitis A. Yikes, not good. Hope you're not going to restaurants right now because it's not safe. Maine restaurant worker with hepatitis A exposed customers for more than 2 weeks. Yikes. This happened in Westbrook, Maine. I happen to know right where it's at. I think I've been in Westbrook, Maine before when I go up to Maine a couple times. Yikes. This happened at the Legends Tap Room and Paper City Barbecue on 855 Main Street in Westbrook on the following dates: January 14th, January 17th through the 21st, January 24th to the 28th, and January 31st, and also February 2nd through the 4th. So if you believe you may have been exposed or had symptoms, you should probably go see your doctor and contact the Maine CDC. That's right, the state of Maine has its own centers for disease control. Alright, moving on to this. This should not be a surprise if you've been following my channel or if you've been following some people on social media such as Twitter that talk about the link between COVID and brain issues. But here you go. COVID-19 linked to higher dementia risk in older adults, study finds. Yeah, this is not good. It's something we suspected would probably be an issue because COVID, it can really attack your brain, and it's finding in older patients that it can really increase the risk of dementia. And some people who were already had dementia or Alzheimer's going into getting a COVID infection, it actually really accelerates it and makes it a heck of a lot worse. It's not good. I actually know someone that does have Alzheimer's and dementia, and COVID has made it worse for him. It's sad. All right, moving on now. Taking a look at this. Stomach bug is circulating in Oak Park Schools, health department says. All right, where is Oak Park Schools? Well, this is just outside of Chicago, Illinois, and it says the usual things. The illness, which is known as the stomach flu, is often marked by symptoms including vomiting, diarrhea, nauseous, and abdominal cramps. But I say to you, if you're impacted by this, make sure you're taking one of these as well, a COVID test, because let's be honest now, there have been cases of COVID that have featured these symptoms, where some people say, oh no, it's just a stomach bug. They take a test, surprise, it's COVID. Yes, it does happen. And finally, in the news department today, thousands of seniors are still dying of COVID-19. Do we not care anymore? This is just a headline from CNN. We don't need to read any more of the story. I got my own take on it. Going to briefly tell it to you. My take is, yeah, I think we stopped caring about our loved ones. We stopped caring about our seniors. I've seen nursing homes with signs on the door that says, COVID outbreak, you must wear a mask again, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you were masking the whole time, if we were trying to protect our seniors, it wouldn't have happened. Yes, we stopped protecting our seniors several years ago. The pandemic itself started in 2020. By the middle of 2021, we weren't caring for our seniors anymore. Let's face it, there are still far too many dying. There are still, just in the last update from BNO a week ago, 2,500 people died in the United States in a week. I don't have the breakdown of ages, but if I had to guess, there are still far too many seniors dying. And it says here, thousands of seniors are still dying. It's really sad. We need to care for our seniors. If you're going to visit that loved one in a care facility, please mask up. If you're a nurse or doctor that works in a care facility, please mask up. If you're going to visit a loved one, maybe you're going to visit your mother or father, maybe they're of elderly age, or a grandmother, please, when you go around them, test beforehand and mask up. Try and keep them safe. They protected us. We need to protect them. They were there for us. We need to be there for them. Come on. All right, moving on now. Taking a look now at the latest air qualities. Air qualities are not great today in the Mid-Atlantic, and it's very noticeable when you go outside. I can show this to you. Look at this. Right over southeast Pennsylvania. Well into the hundreds, over 150. Yeah, that's not a good thing. It's not something we like to see. It's also moderate air qualities. Touch bad, I should say, across the Great Lakes, the West Coast. Look at you. It is fireplace season. But again, you're not doing great either today. But really, the Northeast Corridor from D.C. on up to Boston is about the worst of the air quality in the country right now. If you want to learn more about what's going on with the climate and weather, I do have another channel where I do just that. It's called Climate Data Report. There'll be a link to that down below. We're talking about a snowstorm that's happening in the Northeast states. That's this video right here where I did talk about that today. And of course, I also talked about the threat of severe weather down in the southern states. All right, taking a look at Walgreens. 26.6% positivity is the national rate. The prior week was 27.3%, difference of down 0.7%. Total test is 25,767. The prior week was 26,006. All right, let's talk about some hospital capacity levels. We'll just take a look at a few states, starting off with the national level first. Nationally, 77.8% of all beds are being used around the country. 2.9% are for COVID. 1.2% are for influenza at this time. ICU usage in the country of the United States is 72.6%, 2.7% are for COVID, 1.5% is for influenza. Taking a look now, we'll just do a few states here. How about Washington, D.C.? I'm always interested in that area. 71% of ICU beds are being used, 2.9% for COVID, 2.1% for influenza. How about total inpatient beds usage? Yikes, 83.8%. When it gets over 80%, I start getting concerned. COVID-19 is at 3.1%. Influenza is at 0.8%. Now let's come down here to Florida. What's going on there? Florida is at 79% of all beds being used. COVID-19 is at 2.9%. Influenza is just at 1%. And how about ICU usage? ICU usage in Florida is at 74.6%, 0.7% for influenza, 3.1% is for COVID at this time. And now let's go down here to the one that is usually the worst, and that would be Rhode Island, and it still is. 89.6% of all beds are being used. 2.8% for COVID, 2.6% for influenza. And how about ICU usage? That's usually a problem as well, and it still is. 86.7% of all ICU beds are currently filled up in Rhode Island at this time. COVID-19 makes up 1.6%. Influenza makes up 1.7%. All right, continuing on here. Before we go out west, let's take a look at New York real quickly. New York, 81.4% of all beds are being used. 4.6% are for COVID. 1.2% are for influenza. ICU usage in New York State, 74.1%. COVID-19 is at 4%. Influenza is at 1.5%. And let's take a look at the West Coast. We want to do California. We'll do some more of these tomorrow as well. So I know we're missing the central region of the U.S. We'll get to you tomorrow. 68.2% of ICU beds are being used in California. 2.4% are for COVID-19. 0.9% are for influenza. And how about inpatient beds? You are right around 79.9%, 3.2% for COVID, and 0.9% of them are for influenza. So again, that's 79.9% of all beds currently being used in California hospitals. All right, let's take a look at the latest variant that is dominant, and that is JN.1 at 93.1%. And we can also take a look at what's going on with the hospitals in the United States for COVID. 20,772 admissions in the past week. That is down by 10%. It's good to see that that number is down at this time. And taking a look here now at what happened in Philadelphia yesterday, 782 EMS incidents. And let's see, this late in the evening, how many calls are there right now in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania? There are 12 calls, only one for respiratory. Seeing a few fractures, falls, stabbing. Ooh, stabbing, that's not good. Cardiac emergency. How about what's going on over in Chester County, Pennsylvania? We're seeing heart problems, diabetic emergency, injured person, allergic reaction, and a fall call at this time. All right, let's go over to New Jersey. 748 hospitalizations. That is with 68 out of 70 hospitals reporting. 37 people are on a ventilator. 93 people in the ICU. And how many people got to go home today? to be able to watch the Super Bowl tomorrow at home. 117 people were discharged today. That is a good thing. Taking a look now in New York State, no update. The most recent update was 2,620 positive cases. That was from yesterday's update. And hospitalizations also did not update to 1,808 people in the hospital, 195 people in the ICU. Alrighty, that about does it for today's pandemic update. Quick note on ending two things. First off, we are in a state of decline nationally once again. I believe so anyhow. We had that little bump upward. I think we're going to start going back down now. If we should go up any higher again, then we got a serious problem. But I think we're going to start trending back down after that little bump up in the last couple weeks. Of course, every state is going to be different. There will still be a couple states that may go up over the next week or two. Hopefully, eventually, they will start to go down as well. Also, I have decided for the channel, after all this time, I've been thinking about it, and saying, should I do it, should I not do it? I think I'm going to be starting up some sort of a Patreon for the channel. I just started one up for the other channel. I mean, it's a lot of work running this channel, doing the other channel, working the website, working on Twitter as well. It's just very time consuming, and I think I'm going to start up some sort of a membership on Patreon. Maybe I'll have some extra benefits, like maybe an extra short little video, or like a chat area where we can communicate and collaborate with each other. So you'll see that in the coming days. It'll probably be a very low cost on it, but I figured, you know what? It's time. I've been talking to a lot of people said, why haven't I done it sooner? I'm thinking, no, I wouldn't feel right doing that, but I think we're going to set one up in the coming days. And yep, that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below. We will have a much earlier edition of the pandemic update tomorrow, probably around midday. We'll take a look at some wastewater. If any news pops up, we'll look at that. We'll look at some more hospital capacity data. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Have a fantastic night. I know, it's late today. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and thanks for watching.